And spawning down in the bottom left-hand corner has the individual sponsorship from Team CM Storm. It is Polt.
Our Texas Ranger.
That's right.
That's what he is.
He's been living in America, studying, honing his English skills, which continue to improve time after time. And of course, down in the bottom right-hand corner, the Chinese superstar, who people were so worried they wouldn't get to see him play today, and what a treat it's been to have him here. It is Invictus Gaming's Jim.
I really like that you brought up Stargate play as well, as we saw it several times in Group B. And this is something we saw in his round of 32 match as well against Major. That's pretty much the only real game we have seen of Jim, where he played against Major on Neoplanet S. He opened Phoenixes, went into Colossus, went up to 3 bases, and on a certain point Major decided to go for the big 2-base attack. Major really thought, I spoke with him later about him, or about that match as well. Major said, I really felt I should have won with that push, but it didn't happen, a few minor errors here and there. Well, Jim made it look kind of easy to defend that push. Now, I do not think that if he would open Phoenix, that Polt ever decides to go for a 2-base play. I think Polt would always just go for the macro way. And I think the biggest difference we saw between the Muslim and Polt and Tasia and Alive was that the Muslim was fighting the Phoenixes a lot, while we saw the Korean Terrans just always using all Vikings to snipe the Colossus, which is of course the thing that you should do. It's something that the Muslim knows well. I think that the Muslim kind of failed in that regards, while the Koreans definitely succeeded.
Yeah. Looks like Jim's playing pretty standardly. Polt's playing a little bit shockingly unstandard. I mean, technically the command center first is a standard play, but you got to at least have a little bit of a sense of what your opponent's doing. It's one of those builds that we've seen players who only do it get exploited pretty hard. Polt going for the standard follow with the second barracks, single zealot getting produced, but I think that almost all Protosses nowadays are just not scouting.
Yeah, pretty much. We're greedy people, Sean. That's what it is. I'm very curious to see what Jim is going to spend his money on, though. But he's saving up a little bit already. He's sending out the probe. So I guess it's just... Oh, he's actually canceling the Zealot at the last moment as well.
Yeah, love that.
Yep. He's not worried about any sort of early aggression from Polt. Polt says he's going to make his way across the map. And Polt is like, all right, so you're expanding quick. I expand a little bit quicker. I am fine for now. We see the second simulator going down. And how is Jim going to follow this up, Sean? Is it going to be Stargate, or I'm going to see something like Quick Storms as well and stuff? Yeah,
you know, the big thing I'm probably going to be asking is whether or not he's going to be going for drop play. We see this so much in PvZ, but not as much in PvT, and it's great. I mean, in the late game, sure, you'll see some sort of very, very fast sensor tower, but that's generally after the third base stage. There's really not enough gas for you to throw that down that early, so I'm hoping we get the chance to see it. I mean, that's kind of becoming one of the standard ways to play. But, you know, the sort of question I'd have is, what do you think is the more comfortable expansion for Jim to take as his third?
I like to take the one over here. That's the one on low ground. But we see more and more Protoss players trying to decide to expand over here, which I'm not necessarily sure why. I think the biggest problem with it is as well is like even though you can throw this down and then it makes it a little bit easier, if Terran players decide to drop over here, they can easily run in all the time, and I find it so annoying to defend. While if you just have your army, let's say, positioned between all these 3 bases, it's just a little bit easier. And as soon as you have blink, you can always have stalkers over here, blink up to your own main base, still deal with drops in the main.
Oh, God, look at that. Whoa, Polt actually went expand, 2 racks, expand. That is a super bold play. We see kind of a late robo facility. Normally that gets started closer to 5 minutes, but it's getting started closer to 6 minutes, so...
It's crazy as well that Polt never decided to get a bunker. Imagine if Jim would have chrono boosted out that Zealot, then got the Stalker, then got the Mothership Core. But of course, in that scenario, Polt would have probably seen what was coming and he would have thrown down the bunker a lot quicker. We see the Dark Shrine going down right now, and we see a Robotics Facility going down as well, so we're going to see a little bit of Prism DT play.
Well, it looks like given the time, he's probably going to be going Observer first and then into Warp Prism. Might throw down the Warp Prism first.
I think the Prism first. Because by the time that the Prism is across the map, I guess that the Dark Shrine is almost done.
Suppose so. I mean, with the amount of gas that's being spent, there's the Warp Prism coming up. With the amount of gas that's being spent on this Dark Shrine, though, there is the delay on the Forge. So not going to be a lot of late game upgrades getting started too early.
You know, I think I kind of like Polt's position right now, because he's going to get a lot of additional scans right now with that third command center, which is of course transforming into an orbital command as well. Sure, there are no missile turrets yet. Polt did not decide, I believe, to scan the main base yet. No, this was just the SCV scout early on. I don't know, Jim. You're going to have to deal a lot of damage with this. Taking a look at the worker count right now, we can see that he's up 5 workers. It's 42 against 37. There was a scan from Polt, but where is it? Oh, Polt sees absolutely nothing other than a Stalker and a Zealot.
Nothing can be pretty useful information at this point in time. I mean, the fact that it's 8 minutes, you don't see an observer wiggle, you don't see any...
2 additionals. He has 2 scans saved up as well. This is pretty important.
Yeah, I mean, having seen nothing right now should be a pretty big clue. It is possible to be hiding the Colossus, but still Colossus isn't going to get pretty into high numbers until you get to 10 minutes. So here's the drop. Polt knows what's up. First swipes go down. Where's the scan? Oh, he's not scanning with his 3rd command center for some reason.
I guess he just wants to get enough units, make sure that he actually kills the DTs when he scans. Scan goes down. He will be able to pick up the 1st Dark Templar. The 2nd Dark Templar is going to run out of range though. Do we have an additional scan? I do think we have. Ooh, that's a little too quick. Oh, he killed his own SCV. Friendly fire.
Well, it looks like SCV's taking some serious hits. This is exactly the strength of this. And, of course, the scan does manage to pick off the DT, but the other one... Whoa! Nice lift timing by Jim.
Yep, well done. But still, he's only ahead 10 workers. He killed a couple of SCVs. The total damage, actually only 5. Sure, he forced out a lot of scans, but at the end of the day, the scans are for free. It slows Polt down a little bit. That's 1 more scan. So his macro is not going to be as crazy as he normally is. But with that 3rd orbital command, against the 2-base Protoss, I actually think that Polt is in a pretty okay position right now. 55 probes against 45 SCVs. Okay, that's reasonable, but still, this was a big investment for Jim. Taking a look at the unit's lost resource tab, we can see that Polt only lost 450 in actual resources.
Yeah, I mean, geez, like, how many DTs was that? 4 or 5? That's a ton of gas. I mean, in this position, not really going to be as comfortable to go Storm. But that still is the sort of normal transition. Typically, we see an Immortal Zealot going up to try to take a 3rd base at some time like this. I'm actually a little surprised to see no 3rd base attempt by Jim. He's just going to be going standard 2 base. He's chrono boosting. Interestingly, attack first. Most players are very much so in the armor versus Terran. But I mean, given how many Marauders Polt gets, what do you feel about attack versus
I feel that the reason
armor?
Why he goes attack first is because I think he's going to try to hit a Colossus timing. He has a lot of gateways already right now. I would be very... No, actually, he's going to drop it to a Nexus right now. So in that case, Sean, I am a bigger fan of getting armor first. And I am not sure why Jim is doing this. I mean, sure, Colossus do attack twice.
Yeah. Well, one of the big benefits of getting this Warp Prism early, even if the DT harass gets shut down after a little while, you still have Warp Prisms. We see it it's like it's going to try to fly in. Jim's reaction, a little bit too fast. Very uncharacteristic for my play. I like to fly that right into the Marines and let it die.
Me too. I like to fly my observers right into missile turrets as well. That's like...
Yeah, I think that these plays combined really justify getting the fast robo. So that way we can feel embarrassed as fast as possible in the game. This is weird. He's getting +2 attack with no armor and then getting the 2nd forge. It's the exact opposite of your average player.
Polt moving out for the first time for real right now. He's going to pick up most of these units. He makes sure that there is no observer idling above these medevacts. Most of Jim's army is actually standing over here. What does he have in the main? Absolutely nothing. He does have a lot of gateways. He, of course, does have a photon overcharge as well. But still, I think this drop is going to be able to do quite a bit of damage.
Well, looks like there's the warping from Jim.
Zealot warming as well. That's pretty surprising.
Zealots would charge, but I mean, Polt's just target firing all of these probes. Has brought down 14 thus far, but it looks like that Jim's been doing a great job producing probes. Is still at 55, which is a very healthy amount. Has 6 geysers up, so can begin throwing down that Templar archives. Can easily support these, plus weapon upgrades. The drops in the main base still haven't done much because Polt has yet to move those units. And then here's the classic super fast 8 barracks. I mean, he gets those so early at the 13-minute mark. It's so cool to see.
I'm a little bit worried for Jim right now. I really feel that he's going to have to somehow do something to turn this around. Looking at the economy right now, we can see that Polt is clearly mining way more minerals. That's, of course, because he's landing a lot of orbitals. At the same time, we saw a couple of these zealots running in. But Polt is playing very safe. He has units everywhere. He has units out on the map as well. He still had units making sure the Warp Prism doesn't enter the main base. He has Vikings controlling the sky. So far, this has been an absolutely flawless game from Polt. And Polt is pulling way ahead right now.
Yep, Blink getting researched. That's so hard to defend. I mean, this is the real annoying aspect about having these drops go into the main base. You got to just leave a lot of units back there. So in this position, I mean, Jim's kind of just like, all right, well, I'm on the defense.
Right now, there's pretty much only one thing that Jim can do, and that's just sit back and macro up. Sure, attack is going to be a little bit quicker than the one of Polt. He's on 2-0 right now. He's actually going to finish his armor upgrade soon as well. So it's going to be 2-1 against 2-2 for Polt in, let's say, roughly, well, 70 seconds. That's actually a pretty long time. I thought it was shorter. But still, Jim needs time. He needs way more High Templars. How many High Templars do we have right now? We have
4.
Okay,
Jeez.
4 of them. That's a little better than I thought it was. Because I thought we were going to see 0.
I mean, it kind of doesn't matter with Psionic Storm this far away. The Psionic Storm's already 50 seconds to go, so some force fields could buy some time. But, you know, as you're saying, only 4 medevacs. Excuse me, 4 medevacs on the field, which is unusually low for the typical Terran at 15 minutes. We also see that double drop trying to head back into the main, and there's Jim. Is he going to spot it in time? No.
He has an High Templar there. He doesn't land a feedback, a little bit sloppy there. The High Templar is still alive, but still he's going to take a lot of damage. He's going to lose his Templar Archives as well. That's pretty big. Storm did finish up though, so that is something. This fight is going to matter right now.
Oh, and it looks like all the Colossus get taken down so fast. Speed Zealots moving up, and it looks like Jim might have enough Templar to hold. There's the Storms blanketing everything, but in the main base, we see Pulse drop slowly whittling away this back set of buildings. It looks like one of the medevacs barely escapes, so decent defense right now by Jim, who's not actually that far behind in supply, is up at 2-1 upgrades. In production, we see that he hasn't started any additional ones, but he has to rebuild that Templar Archives.
Only has 1 Colossus left though, and he lost the Templar Archives, as you point out. This is kind of a bad fight for Polt, I think. I don't think Polt really wants to take this fight. There is Blink as well, so if Jim really wins it, he could potentially chase away, but the reinforcements are arriving already. Polt's still in a pretty damn good position in my opinion, certainly after picking up the Templar Archives. Because not only is he not able to make... Oh, that's a nice forward blink. Picks up a medevac. Not only is Jim not able to make High Templars right now, the moment he is able to make them, they're not going to have Storm for a little while.
Well, let's see how Jim reacts to this mega drop. It just flew right by the Observer. In my eyes, Polt's just trying to get a little bit more time bought. But all the Stalkers are now up in the back of the main base. And oh no, this is a disaster for Polt. He's going to try to drop, but he is going to wind up. Wait, how on earth do you micro like that, man? The speed medevacs easily apparently pulling out of the way of the Blink Stalkers, which target fired 1 down, but didn't get much more than that. And Polt is just ripping this back thing to shreds.
Dark Templars being sent in now as well to deal with this robot. More medevacs coming in. So well done by Polt. He picked up most of the army that was idling outside of that third base. Now Jim is forced to bring his Colossus back, and at the same time we can see already units trying to perhaps snipe that third base soon.
And there's the stem. We already see the Vikings move in. They'll be able to pick off the Colossus while this Marine Marauder troop target fires down the Nexus. Polt knows exactly what he needs to target. The 7 medevacs in the main instantly leaving, and now the third base with a single Zealot to defend. It is not enough.
Polt.
It falls. Polt is just on fire. He is looking sensational in PvT.
This is the play that won MLG Anaheim this year. Polt is playing absolutely fantastic, still microing these units in the main base, and still these medevacs of him just do not die. For some reason he's always able to keep these medevacs alive way longer than they should. Picking up this third base has been absolutely massive, and right now Jim's economy is just, well, it's almost non-existent.
And while all this was going on, Polt calmly takes a 4th base and is continuing to add on command centers. His main is getting a little bit low. He's, you know, once that 3-3's done, he's going to have a lot more money that he doesn't need to be spending on upgrades, but it doesn't even matter. Good game.